color bars for a few seconds.
Okay.
Ready?
Record what?
Huh?
Record what?
Color bars.
And that what, babe? But one thing about it, she never bothered me. I went to work, I went to school, I came home. I talked to her a few minutes. I went out, I came back. You never would really just sit down and talk unless
What about when you were like 10 and 15?
when I was 10 and 15 it was the same thing. I went to school and I read a lot. I never really just went over hills to do any one particular thing. When I was in the 10th grade, I was going to Camilla Consolidated in Camilla, Georgia, away from my other sisters and brother. It was an experience. I should have really learned something from that, but I don't think so. I learned something, but not anything that would make me something, an expert on something in years to come. I was just there. It was an experience, an experience that Sal and James Zeno's never had. But it wasn't anything that I would say that was making my future any better or worse. The only thing, it was an experience. Out of everything you do is an experience, but it's up to you, I guess, to put it to some use, whether it's a good experience or bad. And out of all the experiences I had, I think there was some good, and out of every one that I've had, there was some good in it. I think it overpowered the bad. But during that stage, you always think the worst of everything. The bad seems to overpower. Depends on how you look at it. Most people don't look at it that way. That's the way it is. My mother was very lenient to me. Sometimes I think about that. During the time, I didn't think that she really was. Since I looked at it, I think in my book she was very lenient with me, more so than the other kids. Maybe it's the way I handle things. I never was a home person. Stay home, cook, and do things like that. I would go to work, I would come home, I would give my mother half of whatever I made. I made 100, she got 50. I would hand her the 50, and I would go on back out the door. I didn't worry about whether I had to shop or house had to be clean or anything. I was gone. I came back from wherever, been probably Sunday night or Monday morning or weekend. And went to work the following week. Or to school with her hair. And I did that. I would rather have given her the whole 100 than have to be stuck there and have to wash dishes or iron. And I think she understood that. Matter of fact, she used to make jokes like, oh, you know Ronnie's not gonna wash no dishes. Tease about me going to the store because I may or may not come back. And things like that. I was in that area, I understood. Most times, it was just a brand, I think. Because usually I came back, especially if it was something important. And usually I would have to go to the store for myself because that's one thing I'm good at, going to the store. Rather than a wash two plates, I would rather go 2 blocks to the store. And during that time, I just feel like
your mother felt about the men?
That's a good question.
She ever had a man?
I think she liked him. Of course she had one. But since we became older, I don't think she had one. Say, a particular man. I'm sure she did, even when we was on Green Avenue. But the way that she was raised, brought up, I think that she just, by her having 4 girls, no man around the house, I think she just like really loving to bring them around as often as she maybe should have, and I think that was one of her problems, not being able to do that. Or not doing that. She was able to do it, she just didn't do it. Or when she did go out to church or something, or meet someone just for dinner or something like that, but just to go out and have herself a good time and let herself relax. No, she wasn't into all of that. And I think it's a shame. I really think that she should have been. More so than she was. She was involved to a certain extent, but not the way it should have been. As far as down south, it was a sneak thing. And I think that really what took something out of her. You have to sneak around, and I don't think that's fair because the place like down there, it's coming out anyway, so why not just be in the open? My one cousin for being that way. Why sneak around the bush? And tomorrow morning, it's gonna be known all over town anyway. I remember sneaking away from Camilla once. And going to the cabin in the pine. Enjoy yourself. And car got broke down, wind up getting back to Camilla 6 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And before I called my mother at 2 o'clock, the whole neighborhood knew. And you could count the phones out there in the country on your hand, but everybody knew that I had come from Camilla at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night. Now how close down can you get? But they knew about it. One phone call. Just one. And everyone knows.
Okay.
You have to give me another topic.
You want another one, huh? Your grandmother.
Well, that's a different story. I loved her. I think she was something else. Matter of fact, I think I could really sit down and talk to her better than I could now. About different things.
Who she was and how long you knew her? What years?
Well, I think I knew her all my life. From the beginning. I spent a lot of time with her. Even though I went with Mama to school and everything. The time that I was in the country, I spent a lot of time with her. We were in Salanova playing house and everything. I used to be with her, talking about this and that. Religious, we did a lot of religious talk. I used to listen to her talk about men and what dogs they were. And she used to really talk to me. I had some conversation about men with her, so that Mama and I used to really evade the subject of men. Wherein she would come right out in her little words and tell me, in her words, which you wouldn't tell down to Venus or either Christopher. But in her words, she was being straight as far as the man is concerned. I remember one time she told me about my Uncle Cyrus. I was sitting in his lap with some shorts on. And she said, get off his lap because he's a man. And I said, oh, that's my uncle. And she always said, he's still a man. It could be your dad or your uncle or anybody. It's still a man. You don't go around sitting in his lap with shorts on. I guess I was about 10 years old then. And for some reason or another, that would never leave my mind. It's little things like that she used to tell me that I remember. Little things. I think one of the reasons why that one particular one stuck in my mind was because I really did have a crush on him at one time. I guess that's what you would call it, a crush. That didn't develop anything, of course. But I used to fantasize about a lot of people during that time. People that was out of... I never had any kind of thing about boys. It's always been men. And it seems to me the more married they were, the more satisfying it seemed to be. I think I had this thing about you always want something that you can't have or something. But think that my husband was the only married man, single guy that I have really dated seriously. Him and the father of my baby. Every other man that I've gone out with was married, or had a girlfriend, or was living with someone. No single guy ever really appealed to me. If they were single, I seemed to have gotten something out of them having a girlfriend or sneak around because my girlfriend might see you, or I got to go home because my wife is that. And that's the way it seemed to have been with me all along. I never wanted anything that nobody else had. And once I got them, then I didn't want that anymore. I know that was the reason with my husband. What do I want with him now? He's not married to me. Why should I have to knock myself out to try to please him or whatever? I already have him. I don't need him anymore. I got off that conversation. But that's the way I always felt about men. And I don't think that's the question you asked me. Is it? Are you shooting her?
What are you thinking now?
Oh, I was just thinking, what were you doing? Thinking about that last statement I made. What is it, too? He always give me candy in a card. Which is sweet. Sentimental. Something people do once a year. I don't know how. Well, I guess it's just traditional to send a box of candy, flowers, and a card. Like Easter, Christmas. It seems that Valentine has really taken a big leap over Easter. Maybe there's more lovers. Did you send out any cards?
Nah. What you talking about, your sisters?
There's nothing much to say.
All right.
There's 4 sisters. and each one has their own individual personality. And we are all just alike. But each one has a different personality. We get along fairly well. As a matter of fact, I think we get along good, considering that we are all different.
What about where you living? When did you move in? How long have you been living in?
I've been where I'm living now about 16 years. Same building, same apartment. And I kind of like it. As a matter of fact, I love it. I would want to move. And when I moved out there, I hadn't heard of it, the neighborhood. It took a little time to get used to. It wasn't, though. The neighborhood was pretty nice. As a matter of fact, it was pretty good nice. It's come down a lot now.
Vanilla chocolate intro.
Vanilla. It ran down a little, but as a whole, it's pretty nice, pretty decent.
What about the neighborhood?
The people, as a whole, they're pretty decent people. Especially once you've gotten to know them, and you will get to know them. It's like a community. It's the people are very. If one person knows someone, it wouldn't take you long. And you knew someone. It wouldn't take you long to know an entire block. That's how they are. My sister moved out there. And between the two of us now, we know the whole neighborhood because the people she knows and I know, they say that's Veronica's sister or that's Sally's sister. So that way we all begin to know each other. Not know, but when we see, talk to each other, just acquaintances. But I do have quite a few good friends around there, like core friends.
Why don't you tell me about that incident with that mugging? Why don't you tell exactly what happened? Start from the beginning.
I was invited to a party, and the girl that I was supposed to go was Wilma, that lives in my neighborhood. I didn't know I thought she had left me. So I decided, since it was only 10:30 at night, that I would take a chance and walk alone. It was just,
Okay.
well, on this particular evening, I was invited to a game, a poker game, with a friend of mine, Wilma. She lives around my way, 807 Skin. And I thought she had left, so I figured I'll take a chance and walk since it was on a summer night, people were outside. And I'll take a chance and walk. I knew the neighborhood, and most of the people around there knew me. I didn't figure it would be anything. Nothing would happen to me, so I took a chance and walked. I had been drinking. As a matter of fact, I had been drinking quite heavily. And like I said, there was so many people outside, I wasn't paying any attention to any particular group of people that was passing by. And I heard footsteps behind me. I glanced around one time and I didn't see anyone, so I kept walking. And the next time I looked around, I just glanced up and saw this guy coming swinging at me with his hand. The only thing I can remember as far as being able to identify him was that he had on a white jacket, which I should never forget. I went down out, I was told, for a couple of seconds, and someone ran them away. Called the ambulance for me. From this day on, I don't know who did it. The cops came and everything. They tried to find him. Nobody seen or heard anything. The man that came to my rescue said he didn't recognize them. And it was like a mess because I was racking my brain trying to figure out who it was. I didn't have any enemies, not that I know of. And it wasn't a kid, it wasn't a teenage mugging or anything. These were men was two. And the only one that I could really, the only thing I can really recall is this white jacket. I was so horrified until the next morning, which was a Sunday. I looked and looked all over, see if I could spot someone with a white jacket on. I did this for weeks. I was a nervous wreck. But nothing became of it. Even though the cops have records and everything, this is one of those cases where nothing to be done about it. And I really can't figure out where it could be or how it could be or things like that happen, especially in a neighborhood like that. And no one seemed to have seen anything or heard anything. My sister speculated a couple of times maybe someone had somebody to do that. The way she explained it, it's possible, but I doubt if it's probable that would happen. I think it was just someone out trying to get a couple of bucks, which I didn't have. Matter of fact, I did have, but they didn't have time to get to it because of the man. And I keep wondering, even if they had gotten the money, would they have just killed me there in the street? That was another thing. They were on the sidewalk. I had been walking through the project. It would have been a different story, because at least the trees or something would have hit me or something. But in the middle of the street on the sidewalk at 10:30 on a Saturday afternoon, it doesn't make any kind of sense. So this is why I said it had to be someone that didn't know me, because I know everyone. Or just was trying to pick up a couple of bucks. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Anyway, I finally gotten over that. Or pretty much so. I still think about it. It's another chalk up to experience. Wherein a lot of people probably would have been raving and carrying on about that. I pushed that out of my mind. I'm still trying to wonder if you really should push things out of your mind. It's something